Greetings, friends. One of the most frightening aspects of this week's Parsha is how Bilam so utterly fooled himself. Hashem said clearly, "You shall not go with them." But Bilam wanted to go, for he saw reward ahead, money, honor, and the fulfillment of his hatred of Am Yisrael. His heart was so twisted that reality was turned upside down. This prophet who spoke to Hashem did exactly the opposite of what Hashem told him to do. And in so doing, he destroyed himself. Since this appears in the Torah, it becomes a lesson for us. As we say twice a day, do not explore after your heart and after your eyes, after which you stray. It is frighteningly easy to fool ourselves and, Chas v'sholom, ruin our lives. As Rabbi Yisrael Salanter Zatzal taught the altar of Navardak, quote, personal desires have to be dead to you. I saw this in the book, The Altar of Navardak by Art Scroll. This bedrock of Musar determines whether our lives will be successful. With these thoughts in mind, I would like to continue the discussion which I began last week, in which I mentioned the recent New York City primary election and the words of Rabbi Yechiel Per Zatzal, who said years ago, quote, the ejection from America has begun. I don't remember the catalyst for the Rosh Yeshiva's remarks, but it is not relevant. Gullus is not forever. In the immortal words of Rabbi Chaim Volozhin Zatzal, quote, America will be the final stop of the Jewish people before the arrival of Mashiach. The world is beginning to tilt. The land of Israel is tilting upwards, and the rest of the world is tilting downwards. The days of Edom and Yishmael are ending, and the days of Mashiach are about to begin. Quote, when the wicked bloom like grass, and all the doers of iniquity flourish, it is to destroy them forever. I'm not a posek, and I'm not speaking in halachic terms, but I want to state, which should be obvious. It would be tragic if, at this stage in history, we act like Bilam and fail to see reality. We have come to believe that it is normal for us to live in gullus among the other nations. It is not normal. And now, the ominous signs are impossible to miss. I mentioned last week that a real estate broker reported a surge of calls after the New York City primary from people wanting to move to Florida. Why Florida? Is there safety in Florida? Years ago, I saw an article about the safest places to live in the event of nuclear war. Let's not live in a fantasy world. Safety is not guaranteed anywhere. But at this moment, how can one compare Florida or any other destination to the land of our destiny, upon which Hashem's eyes rest from the beginning of the year to the year's end? I understand that it is not easy to move. My wife and I would not be in Israel except that Hashem made a miracle for us and took us out of Chutz La'aretz biyad chazaka, with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. It happened to us before we knew what was happening, but Hashem took us out. Nevertheless, it is time to wake up. As we say every Friday night, arise and depart from amid the upheaval long have you dwelt in the valley of weeping?
בעמק הבוכור והוא יחמוי עולייכם לו וירב לו שפס בעמק הבוכור.
This is what they do. Everybody look at this, look at this. I mean, you see this, I just go here. You pay tuition, this is our school. They're not letting you walk.
It is historical fact that the lands of exile, which seem so secure, can turn suddenly into Gehenna. Perhaps the clearest example is Germany, where Jews occupied high positions before the Third Reich came to power. People did not believe it could happen, but everybody knows what happened. Quote, "This was the bitter disillusionment that came to the German Jews who had surrendered their Jewishness to the German people, whose integrity and kindliness they had so implicitly trusted." This is a quote from Rabbi Avigdor Miller Zatzal in his book, A Divine Madness. My friends, we saw what happened only a few weeks ago, when suddenly it became impossible to reach Israel. This can happen anytime. Bilam said, Am levadad yishkom. They are a nation that will dwell in solitude and not be reckoned among the nations. Here is a quote from my book, Hold On, Surviving the Days Before Mashiach. We are a nation apart. We were not meant to be a part of any nation, and yet we have contracted a sickness in which we desperately try to ally ourselves with our enemies, as if we need them, in order for us to feel that we can belong to the nations of the world. This sickness is potentially fatal. It's all coming to an end now. Soon we will have been rejected by every nation and every individual among the nations. The entire world is rejecting Israel. We are outcasts. Hashem is sending us this message to force us to wake up. The events of biblical Egypt occurred in order to separate us from the Egyptians. So too today, the violent hatred in today's world is apparently necessary because we are so attracted to these nations that we do not know how to extricate ourselves. Bilam, our bitter enemy, told us thousands of years ago that our survival depends upon separation from the other nations. The lands of our exile are pushing us out. This is a message from Shemayim. May we all soon be gathered in safety under the wings of the Shekhinah, in the land of our destiny, in the presence of our King, Mashiach ben David. Good Shabbos!